Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel MathMantra. This is Shraddha here and I'm back with one more strategy, or rather one more topic for all of you in this video. Today's topic is different types of angles and its names. So what we are going to learn in this video is what are the different types of angles, what are their names, how they are formed, how to identify them, and how to use a protractor to measure these angles. Okay? And this is mostly for the kids who are in grade 4, 5 and 6. So without wasting time, let us get started, and I request you to see the video until the end so that you don't miss anything important in between. So before we even start discussing about angles, let's revise some few things which will help us to understand the angles more better. So in your second or third grade, or even fourth grade I may say, you must have seen this figure. So this we mostly use to draw a number line, right? This figure, if particularly I want to say about this figure, it's a straight figure. I have not drawn it straight because I'm just using a pen. And there are two arrows on both the sides of the line. Okay. Now, these two arrows indicates what? That I can extend the line as much as I can or as much as I want from both the sides. That's the reason you have those two arrows. That is the reason also that you can't measure a line. You can't measure a line. Why? Because it is never ending. It just goes on extending on both the sides. So this particular figure is called as a line. Okay? Now there is one figure which has an ending point and a line with an arrow. Now this figure is nothing but a ray. Now what is the difference between a line and a ray? In line, you have arrows on both sides. That means the line can extend on both the sides. But in a ray, you have an arrow only in one side, right? Either of the side. It can be either a left side or the right side. And one point or one part of it is a ending point. Or you can say this is the starting point of the ray. So if I want to name the ray, I will name it from the origin. This is the origin of the ray A, and it goes on extending from the direction of B. So even we can't measure the length of a ray. Okay. Now let's see the third part. In the third part, you have an ending point in both the sides. And this is nothing but if you cut this line like this, and if you take this part outside, you will have something like this. So that's why it is called as a segment or a line segment. And because it has ending points on both the sides, it is not going to extend anywhere, and so we can measure this line segment. We can measure. Understood the difference between line, ray and line segment? Now we'll move ahead to focus on our angles. Now let's understand what is angle and how it is formed. So just now we saw what is a ray. So if I make a ray pointing to the right side, and if I have another ray overlapping on it, okay, now these are two rays which are overlapping on it. Now if this ray, one of the ray, if it starts moving in the upward direction, and suppose it comes at this place and it stops. So you get something like this. And this space which is in between the two rays is called as or is denoted as an angle. So for this angle, we have a vertex or the origin, which is this, and these two rays are nothing but the arms of the angles. Okay, so this is the vertex and these are the arms of the angles, arm 1 and arm 2. Now how the angle is labeled? So suppose I have the same angle I am taking and I am denoting the vertex as O or the origin as O, and this is my P and Q. So these are nothing but ray OQ, this is ray OQ and this is ray OP. Now the name of the angle will be written as denoted by an angle to say that it's the name of an angle. So you will write the symbol of an angle first and you will start with P or Q and keeping O in the center. So if I start with P, my angle's name is going to be POQ, or I can also write this as QOP. I can write it anyways, or I can also write it as just angle O. So these three are nothing but the names of this particular angle. Okay, understood how to name an angle? Only you have to pay attention to this part, that the vertex should always be in the center and the other two alphabets should go on the sides. Okay, this is the only thing you need to remember while writing the name of an angle. Okay, now let's move ahead. Let's see the different types of angles which we have. So first, when we were discussing the origin, like how the angle originates, I told you there are two rays overlapping each other, right? Now when you have these two rays overlapping each other, they are not moving away from each other. In this case, no angle is formed. So this figure denotes a zero angle figure. Since there is no angle in this, so it's a zero angle. Okay. Now when the arrow starts moving and suppose it reaches a point which is like this, it looks like an L. So this L-shaped angle is nothing but it is called as a right angle. Okay, this is called as a right angle and its measure is always 90 degree. So this is a right angle. Now if your L is smaller than the 90 degree, means it is somewhere here, your 90 degree or the right angle is supposed to be this. So wherever you have, anywhere in this area, wherever you have rays, all these rays, whatever angles they form, all will be called as acute angle. Why? Because they all are smaller than the right angle. So we can say that acute angles are all smaller than 90 degrees. And when we have, now this is our right angle, when we have angles that are more than 90 degrees, so all which is falling in this part of your angle, all these will be called as obtuse angle. So we can also say that obtuse angles are more than 90 degree. Now along with acute, zero, right angle and obtuse angle, there are some more angles. Let's see what are those. So when your first ray and the second ray, they fall in the opposite sides of each other, this particular angle is called as a straight angle. Okay, so what has happened? Your ray which was overlapping this has traveled up till here. Okay, and it has become a straight angle now. The measure of this straight angle is also definite. That means it is permanent, 180 degree. It doesn't change, just like your right angle. Right angle is always 90 degree. Straight angle is always 180 degree. So it is double of your right angle. Okay. Now, when this ray starts moving in the downwards direction now. Now when the ray starts moving downwards, it gives you something like this. Now this is a confusing part. When children see this type of angle, they mostly label this as an obtuse angle, as they look at this part of the angle. But in the question, whenever it is mentioned about such type of angle and they want you to look it in another direction, they will always give you something like this. That means you have to see this part. So when this part is mentioned, that means they want you to show this angle, which can be denoted as a reflex angle. Now this reflex angle, because it is more than the straight angle, it is always more than 180 degrees. Okay, more than 180 degrees. Now when this ray again travels more further and comes back and overlaps on the ray, the original ray again, now it has completed one entire round, right? So this angle will be called as full angle, because it has completed one full round, and the measure of this is always going to be 360 degrees. Okay, let us revise quickly what type of angles we learned so far. So we learned zero angle, which is nothing but just two rays overlapping on each other without moving. This is a zero angle. Then we learned acute angle, which is less than 90. Then we learned right angle, which is a right angle like this, which is a definite angle. The angle's measure is always 90 degree. Then we learned obtuse angle, which is more than 90 degrees but less than a straight angle. Then we learned a straight angle, which is just two rays opposite to each other, and again the measure is always same, 180 degrees. Then we learned reflex angle, which is nothing but more than 180, and it is denoted by an arrow like this. And then at the last we learned a full angle, which is nothing but the ray completely covers the entire area and comes back and overlaps on its original ray. Okay, so this is full angle, and it is also always 360 degrees. So you have definite measures for right angle, straight angle and full angle. They are never going to change. They will always be these. Okay. Now let's see how to use a protractor to measure all these angles. So this particular thing you must have seen in your geometry box, right? And it's called as a protractor. Some children or some teachers also call it as a D, but more appropriate word is a protractor. Now, how to use this protractor to measure an angle? If you see this protractor carefully, you will see that the numbers are starting from 0 from here, and then it is 0, 10, 20, 30. So it's a division of 10 degrees. And then when it travels up till 90, it's a 90 here, and then 100, 110, and then it ends at 180 over here. But then again you see there is a 0 here, and then it goes from this side and ends at 180. Now which 0 we should use to start measuring the angle, that we will see. Now suppose you have an angle like this and you need to measure the angle of this measure the angle. Suppose you have an angle like this and you have to measure the angle by using the protractor. Now the base of this angle, that means this ray, is pointing towards the right side. Now when the base of the angle is pointing towards the right side, we are going to use the 0 which is on the right hand side. That means this 0 we are going to use, this 0. Okay. Now how to use this protractor? So you see here that this is the origin of the protractor, which you need to place on the origin of your or the vertex of your angle. Okay. So if I take the protractor on my angle, I'll just show it to you here. My arm, the base arm, should overlap on this line and should point towards the 0. Okay. Then the other hand, I will see that it is going in which direction. Now if you see this other hand or the other arm, if I extend this, it is falling somewhere here. And because we are considering the right hand side 0, we are going to see these numbers, the inner side. Now this line is above 60, and since it is 10 degrees intervals between two, so this is going to be 65. So this is less than 65, let's say 64. So the measure of this angle is going to be 64 degrees. Now if you have an obtuse angle to be measured, so when you have an obtuse angle, again you will follow the same rule. When you see that the angle's base arm is pointing towards 0 or to the right hand side of this protractor, you will consider again this 0. Okay. And the second arm, you will see it coincides with which line or which number on the protractor. So now when I extend this, I come to know that it is coinciding or it is just exactly on this 150. Now because I am considering this 0, again I am going to follow the inner side of the angles, right? Inner side of the numbers. So because 150 is on the inner side, the measure of this angle is going to be 150 degree and not 30 degree. Okay. If you say it as 30 degree, then it will become an acute angle, and it doesn't look like an acute angle, right? It's an obtuse angle, so it is 150 degree. Now whenever you have arms which are facing on the left side, then you are going to use the 0 which is on the left side. So if you have any angle like this, so this ray, the base ray, is facing the left side. So to measure this, you will again place the origin of this on the vertex of your base angle, and then this 0 you are going to consider now. So you are going to see the outer numbers now to find the measure of the angle. Okay. So suppose the second arm coincides here. So this is nothing but it is pointing towards 60. So the measure of this angle is going to be 60 degree. Okay. Understood everybody? So I hope you have understood what are angles, how they are formed, what are the different types of angles, what are the names of the different types of angles, how to identify them, and how to measure the angles by using a protractor. If you have any specific doubts related to this topic, kindly put them in the comment section. I hope you all loved the video. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, share and subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon so that you can get the notifications whenever I release my next video. So till then, bye bye, take care and have fun with math